Do you yearn for travel that involves outdoor adventure and learning? I do. I also have a passion for all things farming and agriculture. I've traveled to exotic jungles to learn about growing chocolate. I even once owned my own organic vegetable and sunflower farm. And now I'm planning my journey back to agriculture. AgriTourism, defined as travel that involves some type of agricultural experience. AgriTourism is all about entertaining, but the marketing strategist in me knows that at its core, agritourism is really about educating, and education affects change. My future farm needs to deliver a profound experience to all of its visitors. It needs to educate people about food, health, and climate. Join me to learn from experienced agritourism farmers and entrepreneurs and help me build my future farm strategy. And who knows, maybe one day soon you'll find yourself in a tropical jungle cutting open cacao pods with a machete, or savoring an outdoor plant-to-plate community dinner with 100 guests at a farm in Illinois. So let's tap into the agritourist in you. This is Jen Ross, your AgriTourist podcast host. Will Culler, PhD from Clemson University, is the Lexington County Extension Coordinator and also the director for the South Carolina Ag and Art Tour. This tour is the largest free farm and art tour in the nation, with over 85,000 visitors participating since 2012. The South Carolina Ag and Art Tour is a self-guided tour of farms and markets featuring local artisans at every single stop. During the tour, visitors have the opportunity to see firsthand where their food comes from, watch artists in action and purchase their works, enjoy the melodies of local musicians, and learn more about rural life. Since Will assumed his director role in 2019, the tour has expanded into several South Carolina counties. Will's agriculture and business background, coupled with his focus on education and agritourism, makes him the perfect leader to expand the opportunities that the Ag and Art Tour represent. And he has helped establish a prototype for communities outside of South Carolina to replicate. As Will and I discuss, these types of agritourism initiatives bring people together. They educate, create connections, and instill a strong sense of community. Enjoy my conversation with Will Culler. How are you?
I'm good. Jen, I've got a couple of interns here. Some interns with me today. And
Excellent.
Kate and Caroline, and they are both ag majors or ag and landscape architecture or landscape design. Landscape architecture students at Clemson. So I thought it'd be great for them to sit in and listen and learn and whatever. So
absolutely. Totally for that. And if they have anything to add, please add. I'd love to hear from you guys too. So Will, before we get started, I want to learn a little bit about you and your background. How did you get here to this position? And then we'll talk a little bit about the tour, which I'm very excited to learn more about.
This position, I started out, back in 1970 now. I started out on a farm when I was growing up. Our family had a poultry processing facility in little Orangeburg, South Carolina, rural Orangeburg. We grew watermelons, we grew other stuff. So I had that experience growing up. I had the experience of sitting on the side of the road on top of watermelons on the back of my dad's truck, selling watermelons to people. That was back when I was 4 or 5 years old, whatever. When it was time to go off to college, I went to Clemson University. Wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. Decided I liked economics a little bit, so I did ag economics, ag and applied economics. Went through that, got out of school. This was back in the mid '90s, early to mid '90s. Jobs weren't very affluent yet, so I went straight through. Got my master's in agribusiness, and then I went into banking and did banking for about, because I had worked in banks part-time and did a lot of entrepreneurial business planning stuff in banks. And that was a great experience because it allowed me to come back to the university about 7 years later and get a job with Clemson Extension Service. And, that's allowed me for the last 20 years with Clemson, my main role has been around ag marketing, ag business planning, helping people figure out, especially small farms, to meet their community development needs, their economic development needs, their financial plans. And, currently my role here is I am the county coordinator for Lexington County. We have 10 agents here in this office, 10 agents and staff. I am an agribusiness agent officially with Clemson. I am the director of the tour. I'm involved with a number of other large projects, and I love to lecture every once in a while on campus in this role. My passion for, when I went back to get my PhD some years ago, I decided, hey, I've got all this ag behind me, and I want to do. By then, my focus had shifted from ag, entrepreneurship, marketing. What is all that? It's agritourism. That's where it's happening. And as you understand, agritourism was really beginning to blossom in 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010. It really was starting to really come of its age. And I wanted to capture that. I wanted to say, hey, take my entrepreneurial skills, my teaching of workshops and other things of ag entrepreneurship, and really grab the agritourism. So went back and got my PhD in travel tourism at Clemson. And with a focus on agritourism, my research was in generational aspects of agritourism operators, work characteristics of agritourism operators. And so that was my dissertation topic. And the rest is history. When I finished that, I did take over the Ag and Art Tour. And I did that and took it over in 2019. The tour has been going since 2012. And I can tell you, since 2019, I feel extremely fulfilled with my job, being able to go and work with these incredible farms, incredible aspiring agritourism operations and mature agritourism operations and just small farms. That's just been an amazing experience.
So let me back up a little bit. When you were first working, I worked in banking as well for a while. So I have a very strong marketing. I also have a marketing and business development consulting business. So that's what I've been doing and raising 3 kids. So I have some similarities in our background. Obviously, I'm not teaching, but when you were meeting throughout your career with farmers, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you see or that you see? I mean, obviously, it's probably changed over time, but just from the time you've been doing this, what are some of the biggest challenges out there for either people who want to go into farming or people trying to sustain a farm? And I know that's probably a big question, but I think it's something that I really try to, talk about because I think people need to be realistic about these types of transitions and really know what they really need to think about.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, obviously, the most obvious answer is always financial, but beyond that, I think a big portion of this and what I've experienced is the regulation side and the permitting, and not only that, but being able to differentiate the permitting and what's required between a municipality, between a county, between a state, and between a federal. It's so much out there. You almost need an assistant and an assistant's assistant just to be a farmer now, because there's so much stuff to figure out and navigate. Being able to find those tools, and more importantly, being able to find the people that knows those tools that will talk to farmers and talk to others. That's what's important. You've got to be able to know where to go to get the information. I truly believe that the Extension Service as a whole is doing a good job. I think they could do better at getting the information out there. I think some Extension services in some states are doing better than others. But I think as a whole, I think that's where it's at. I think we can really come together and get this information on regulation. Again, it's different in so many different levels of government, so many different levels of everything, commodities and everything around that it's going to be hard to get it together. But I think you can build the spreadsheets, you can build the data there for them, and there's some really good tools out there. And I think being able to show farmers in a way, hold their hand and say, look, this is where it's at. business planning in itself, is a hard thing to do. And I think first and foremost with the business plan, it's got to be something that you can develop and you can change every 6 months, change every year. Understand that it's gonna be changing. It's gonna be constantly changing in that way. One of the things I've recently done is you mentioned Lisa Chase earlier. Lisa and I were involved with the business plan template for AgriTourism, and that was an incredible year and a half long project that we did. And again, it was with groups of extension groups and others throughout the United States, and that was all the way from California to Colorado, to Alaska to Colorado to Minnesota to Vermont, and down here in South Carolina. We had a great team that developed an incredible agritourism template, and it's all free. There's so many sources out there that are free for people to use. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, honestly, until I met Lisa, connected with Lisa, and then when I literally went through every aspect of her website, it was a tremendous amount of resources. And I did see that business planning piece, and it was extremely helpful. As far as the financing side goes, I know that I've been doing a lot of research on this, and there are grants out there. There are now companies investing in, real estate for farming. Yeah. So do you want to give us any thoughts on that based on what you've seen? Because this is probably something I see these real estate investment companies popping up more that are focused on farming and or organic farming.
Yeah, we do have, I'd be careful. We do have some great tools for farm succession, keeping the farm in the land, being able to secure that land for future generations. That's extremely important. And if you don't want to sell, don't sell. And, don't feel like you have to. There are things you can do there. And, as far as the farm succession and other things, again, the resources, we've got some great resources on the Clemson Extension Agribusiness site. We've got some fantastic tools. There's tools out there for co-ops. I mean, there's opportunity for some of these smaller farms to really, come together and make some great purchases and make some great sales and do some incredible marketing. I think that's one aspect that needs to be explored further by academics and researchers and others. So yeah, there are actually companies out there that are calling themselves agritourism companies that want to come in and purchase agritourism farms to put in larger agritourism operations that aren't really agritourism operations. They aren't really providing the true experience of the authentic experience that is what agritourism is supposed to be. And then education. I mean, education is where it's at, and you know that. And I did a little reading, listening to what you said on your website. So it's all about ag education. It truly is. That's been the heart for me for my tour, for a long time. So yeah.
So so 2012 the tour started?
Yeah, yes.
Now, so that was before you came in. So what is some of the history about?
I was involved with the tour then, to a point. I was an agribusiness agent. My colleague, Ben Bowles, he's an agribusiness agent up in the York County region. That's right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. It's like literally over the county line. York County is a very large growing area, Charlotte suburbs. But Ben was in York County, and he was working with the tourism district up there, in that area. The tourism district was looking at maybe doing some tours. They also were working with the York County Arts Commission. They were looking to do some art tours, and Ben wanted to do some ag tours. So they kind of came together, said, why don't we do a York County ag and art tour? And they're like, okay, what do we call it? Why don't we call it the ag and art tour? So they did. And in York County, it went really well that year. So well that within a couple of years, the whole region of South Carolina, York, Chesterfield, Chester, Lancaster, down to Fairfield, that whole region of South Carolina was involved with the tour. They wanted to be on the tour. And they changed it to the Catawba Ag and Art Tour, Catawba Region Ag and Art Tour. And that went well for a number of years. And and people were loving it. They got a website developed. It really just came. It became an organization of a lot of different committees in a lot of different counties that really a grassroots level driven. I think that's been a true success. I'll say it over and over again. The success of my tour are my committees and my farmers and my people that are doing it, my volunteers that are doing it. That's the success of the tour. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just a coordinator. I'm just making sure the pieces are in the right place. These guys are incredible. These are all volunteers. The committees, when a county comes to me, and right now, I will say from last year, we had 11 counties, and I didn't mention when I took over the tour in 2019, we did start moving toward some other counties in South Carolina. We made it to South Carolina. It became the South Carolina Ag and Art Tour. We moved into the Midlands region and then down into the Low Country region. So we were all over. Last year we had 11 counties involved with the tour. This year we've moved to 20 counties, which is
wow,
big undertaking. 20 counties, that's almost half the state, 178 tour stops, which is amazing. And these 178 tour stops will be operating by county every weekend between May and the beginning of May and the end of June. We are in the middle of it right now. Let me go back though and say, when a county comes to me and says, okay, I want to be a part of, how do we get to be a part of the tour? Someone from that county. And my first response is, okay, listen, you've got a lot of interest. Get a committee together and come back to me and say, hey, we want to do it. And I'll come and I'll talk to your committee. And let's see if we can start the ball rolling, because that committee drives that county tour. The committee, and this is what I recommend to them, is made up of someone maybe from the municipality where it's going to be based, or from a nonprofit, someone from the county, someone from the Chamber of Commerce, someone from the Arts Commission. There's a lot of different ways, and that therein lies the beauty of the whole thing. You have never seen an extension service in a rural community work with the Arts Council in a rural community. That's never been done before, but here we are doing it now in South Carolina in 20 counties, and it's just absolutely amazing. The knowledge gained and the knowledge learned amongst these groups of people that have never worked together, amongst the chambers of commerce that are now funding AgriTourism, the Ag and Art Tours, or a farm tour for the first time. You've got arts commissions that want to be involved with the tour so much so that they want to put someone in place to be there all the time. And there's so much stuff going on with this that it's just that's been the fun of it. That's been the joy of it.
So take me on a tour. What happens? So it's obviously self-guided. So what happens? Like if I go on a tour this weekend, what happens? What do I see? What do I experience?
Okay, so like you said, this is a totally self-guided tour. The beginning of the tour is the website. I mean, the website is absolutely incredible. We do a lot of social media marketing. We do a lot of we do magazine marketing. We do some other marketing. We have billboards when the counties can afford them and get them out there with sponsorships and other things. But it starts with the website. We want to drive everyone back to the website. Totally interactive. Map. There's a map there. Click on the county. The farms come up. Click on the farms. The artisans come up. You know what? You build it in your mind before you go. So if someone wants to go to York County or Richland County on their weekend, they want to visit as many farms as they can. They're going to go in and they're going to look at, okay, this day we can go to XXX, and they've got a map. You can see all the Googles. You can actually draw your map there. And then Sunday we'll do these. So you start there. You pull up to the farm, pull up to a tour site, and you get out. It's like I said, totally free and open. You see, a lot of times there's someone there helping to park cars. These are all volunteers, remember. We do work a lot with getting enough volunteers on the farms to make it happen. But, people walk to the farm. There is a sign-in table. I love to get someone to sign in. We encourage people to sign in. We can't require them to sign in, but we encourage them to sign in as much as possible. We're looking for information about, how far they drove. We want the zip code. We want to know, how many people are in their party. They're bringing 4, 5, 6. We want to know what else do we want to know. A few other things on the signing sheet. We want to know just a few things about, are they staying in a hotel overnight, or, what are they going to do? A lot of this information is to help us really justify the reason why we're getting funding from our sponsors and others. They go to that sign-in sheet, they do that. They see the artisans on site, they see the farms. I always ask my farms, the number one thing I ask, and I always ask them this first, or tell them this first. I want to see, I don't want to make sure, it's very important that the farmer is there. The farmer is there, and the farmer is offering tours. If not tours, the farmer is there in one place to speak. Because in my research and from what I understand about the generations and everything else, people are going to farms now. They want to hear from the farmer. They want to know how it's done. They want to know why it's done. They want to know how that person does it, that man or woman. They want to know what that person does every day. You get up at 2 a.m. to check the cows. You go at 4:30 a.m. to feed the chickens. What do you do every day? And I think people, especially the younger generation, they're interested in that. Why? Because they don't have a lot of experience with that. They can see it from here to here every day. This is their life. But every once in a while, they want to jump out of this life, and they want to see, they want to experience, and they want to be educated. We have an extremely educated younger generations, and I'm talking Gen Z, younger millennials, Gen Z, Alpha generation, extremely educated. They know what they can do, and they know what they can do from here to here on their phones, on their computers, on their iPads. They know what they can do, but they also know that they've got to understand what they see. They've got to understand the videos so they can get out and do that. They can get out there and go on these short 1 weekend trips, 1 day trips, local trips. That's what's important to them now. I've read a lot of tourism data that shows, these long 2 week vacations that you hear about they do in Europe all the time, and that some people do in Europe, in the United States, and the younger generations, they don't want that as much. They can do a lot of that. I know I took my kids to Washington, D.C. one time when they were younger, and they're like walking to the Smithsonian on their phones going, Dad, we can really see this on the website. Why don't we on YouTube? Why don't we need to see this here? It's just too many people. We can see it. So that type of stuff, they want to do that. But being able to go for that 1 day or that 2 days and actually experience, what a farm is all about, is incredible. And then we can talk about how COVID made people, wary of things, and how that's really exacerbated everything I just said in a big way, in tenfold. So, yeah.
How is the art integrated? So are these artists or these councils come to the farm, or how does that work? Or are you actually going to those specific places as well?
Absolutely. No, we do have some art sites that participate on the tour, but we let people know that's not a farm site. That's a tour site. But on the farm, what works really well is the artisans are there. They're on the, one of the most incredible events I saw, one of the times I saw, and let me tell you a couple of events here. One time I was at a horse called Three Horse Farm. And Three Horse Farm is really just a grits mill. They have 3 horses walking around in a circle, grinding grits. That's what the horses do. And you put the grits in, they grind the grits, and they sell the grits. It's a great farm, incredible farm. They had some chicken and stuff, but there's not a lot of farming for people to see. They can go up there, can buy the grits, whatever. So what this farm did is they have a huge covered area where they keep a lot of their seed and other stuff. So what they did is they had like 20 or 30 artisans there. It was incredible. So people wanted to experience that. They walked into the artisan under the covered area. Before walking in, they had to walk by these huge men in overalls, with hay in their mouths, and they were whittling. And they were giving the little animals they were whittling to children as they went in. So it's just an incredible experience. And when you went in, there's incredible baked goods. There's people, doing art. There's people doing metalworks. There's people doing handcrafted soaps. Everything is handcrafted, handmade, all right under that area. And it painted a picture for me at the time. This was back in in the early years that, before I was even part of the tour, a director of the tour, that I thought, this is what makes the tour, the art. People want to connect. They want to see, they want to do, they want to find out this is what it is. This is not just the agriculture side of, our heritage, our the community. This is where it's all at. Another time that I really backed up what my thoughts on this was I was at a old heritage farm. This is a farm that was a bicentennial farm, over 200 years old. You don't have a lot of those outside of the East Coast, but bicentennial farm over 200 years old, and they had a kind of a valley. You could see a field, a grass field down there, and in the middle of that field, you could see them about probably 200 yards away, or no, about 100 yards away, was one person in the middle with his easel painting scenes. And you can just look down there and see this person. And it was just incredible to see. Wow, that's a picture. It was incredible. And people around, and they had other craft vendors and craft artisans and stuff around, but you could see this guy off in the distance. And I thought, that's the picture right there. Absolutely amazing. And I tell my people, I tell all the time, especially for South Carolina, and this can go for a lot of other states. Our heritage goes back a long time, and 300 years nearly in South Carolina. So, when people landed in Charleston Harbor in late 1600s, early 1700s, they brought with them their business knowledge, which was all agriculture. That was it. They brought with them their creativity. That was the art and how they expanded their minds through that. And we can go on and on about the Gullah Geechee and others that did all that, but that's what they brought, and that's the heritage of South Carolina. So nowadays in our state, we have so many people, and South Carolina's growing by leaps and bounds. When I was younger, when I was these guys' age, a little younger, we had about 2.5 million people. We now have 5.5 million people and growing rapidly. So all of these people are coming to our state, and the first thing they want to find out is about our heritage. What makes South Carolina tick? What's our culture? And that's what we're talking about. Ag and art together is the culture of our state. And I'd say it's the culture of so many states in this country.
So it's self-guided, obviously. So have you ever considered, or did you ever test out it not being self-guided, actually being getting on in a vehicle and actually, taking people to the different locations?
We did. We had we have done that, and it has worked well. Costs, other things kind of limits that some. We have a new beginning farmer program. We've got some USDA NEFA grants and other grants to do a new beginning farmer program. And we actually had a bus tour on that with that program for a few years that actually took people. And that was great because the farmers were like, whoa, we're getting, 30, 40 people at a time to come. What worked really well with that was when they would get off, meet with the farmer, go actually tour the fields, come back, enjoy the artisans, any food trucks, vendors, and go away. That worked really well. I've also got for 2026, and I'm part of a South Carolina former veteran grant right now. This is a USDA grant that we recently received from the Former Veterans Association received. And we're going to do a veteran-owned farm tour in 2026. I've got buses, money for buses to do. So we're going to have people bus around South Carolina to see these veteran-owned farms across the state in one weekend. And it's going to be an ag and art tour weekend. We've already started the information about that, the marketing for that. It's going to be called Farmers of the Brave, and Farmers of the Brave tour, and it's going to be part of the Ag and Art tour, and I'm really looking forward to that.
That's exciting. That's a fantastic idea. What do you think is really, I guess, what are the key pieces that you think is making this so successful? I mean, you're expanding this. I mean, it's expanded significantly. Yeah. I know where I am. I'm on Long Island, New York, and I actually did many years ago. I did a trip with a a travel agency to some of the farms around here. It didn't really involve art, but it was just more of a farm tour. And, we had a bus and we took, a group of people, and it worked out really well. But it's just, there's so much going on and it's hard to get people to pay attention. It's just hard. So I'm like, what do you think it's been? What pieces of this do you think are keeping it going and getting people really excited about it?
I think that's twofold. I think first and foremost, it's the grassroots effort. I mean, it's got to be grassroots, county driven, local driven, farm driven. It's the buy-in that I have from the county governments, from the nonprofits, from the local farms that want to make sure this happens and grows. And that's incredible to me. It truly is. I also think it is part of the whole feeling right now that people want to get out and about. They want to see, they want to do. Agriculture is it used to be a dirty word. It used to be, literally a dirty word, agriculture, get it. But it used to be something that people were like, that's what they do, and we don't want to do. Now it's something that, hey, that's cool. Maybe I can do some of that. Maybe I can, buy a couple acres and live off that. And we've got a lot of homesteading population coming around here. People really want to get back to nature, and that's huge. I think that piece with art and with, like I was talking earlier, with the culture and the heritage, that's where it's at now. We've seen a country today in a lot of turmoil, politically, Washington, everywhere else, a lot of turmoil everywhere. There's a lot of bickering. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of stupidness happening, and everyone knows it. No one will say it. But there is. And so people want to get back to that comfy feeling. And honestly, if they're farmers for more than 6 months, they know that's not exactly comfortable. It's a lot of work, but they want to know, they want to understand that. They want to be able to do that. They want to capture, the good old days of culture and heritage and agriculture and they want to feel safe. They want to feel comfortable. And for some reason, agriculture and having those beautiful scenes and the beautiful sights and the beautiful smells and other things, that's comfortable for people. And I think that's where it's at. They're going to see a lot of bad news on their technology, and they're going to see a lot of bad news on their TVs. But when they get out and about in the communities and they can hear from the farmers about where their food comes from, and they can hear other things, they can experience an incredible operation, and they can be justified by their thoughts of beauty and of clean wholesomeness. That's what it's all about.
So I saw that you have some sponsors who are probably helping to make this happen. So talk to me about those sponsors and what how they're contributing and who they are, the types of sponsors that you're probably looking obviously to align certain types of sponsors with this that support this type of thing, because I saw the list and they're aligned.
We've got a very long list of county level sponsors, and I won't get into all the county level sponsors. Go to our website. They're scrolling across the screen. They are some amazing people that are giving their money to see it happen in their county. There's some incredible sponsors. Everything about them. My largest sponsor, my presenting sponsor this year, that came up and they were surprised, but they are Palmetto Pride of South Carolina. And Palmetto Pride, their mission is to see clean streets, to see clean, everything about South Carolina, to come back to keep things clean. And I think it's a great partnership with them, because that's what we're doing. We're making sure that people understand what it is about a farm that makes them run, that makes them true. I wanted to mention real quick, the coolest thing I ever did. A lot of my research is around why are farmers involved in agritourism. What's their purpose? Obviously, you've got the economic, and you've got the community development, and you've got the, hey, we want to bring our kids back to the farm. A lot of that's around there. But one of the things I've realized through the Ag and Art Tour has been really cool, and I think been one of our most successes, is some of the farms, or a lot of the farms I've talked to, said, what I found after being on the tour or in starting agritourism is that I get to meet my neighbor for the first time. And my neighbor that lives in the development that literally is a half mile down the road that has 500 houses, I get to meet those neighbors for the first time. And you know what? Now I can explain to them. They understand after seeing my farm. They understand why I'm up at 4 a.m. Driving where I'm at 7 a.m. I have to drive down the road going 25 miles an hour on my tractor. They understand why the sounds of the chickens at 4:30 and the smells. The neighbors understand that. So they're living together. And that's what brings everyone together. That's been the biggest success that I've found around that. It's been absolutely incredible. So I think all that's part of the clean movement of that we're experiencing. And I think that's why Palmetto Pride really came on board big time. Another one of my sponsors that came on board was Lux Stone. They do their stone quarry. They do a lot of work like that. They wanted to be in the community and show that they are responsible. They are economically responsible. And they're good. And then the Department of Agriculture, you saw the ACRE program. The ACRE program for the Department of Ag. I've worked with the ACRE program for years in South Carolina. They are teaching agriculture entrepreneurship to people, to local farmers. That's what it's all about. But the ACRE program wanted to be a sponsor, and they're incredible. The Department of Ag itself has been a great partner in this thing. In every state, there is a place, and I'll as a side note, there's a place, in my opinion, for the Department of Ag to be very involved in agritourism in every state. Unfortunately, a lot of our states don't have the Department of Ag involved with agritourism. I'd love to see it happen one day. Maybe just a standard, hey, we're going to run the Agritourism Association. We're going to have someone on staff that's specifically for that. I think there needs to be a movement toward that, and there possibly is right now. But yeah, it's a lot around that. I'm excited about seeing some of the national organizations that are happening, the international organizations that are happening around agritourism right now. NAFMA, North American Farmers Direct Marketing Association, is changed their title over to they want to be known as the International Agritourism Association, because they have over hundreds and hundreds of farms across the globe right now that are large agritourism operations and are doing amazing things. So, and that's just one example. So
excellent. So you mentioned the veterans for 2026. What is your vision for this going forward? And I also want to talk to you about have other parts of the country reached out to you and said, "Hey, I want to do this," because I sent this to a friend of mine who she owns an animal rescue here on Long Island, but she purchased a few years ago 30 acres in Massachusetts, and she actually has a farm sanctuary up there, and it's a very big art community. And she's like trying to think of ways to bring people in, and there's vineyards in the area. And I sent her this. I'm like, this is golden. I said, you need to look into this. So talk to me about your vision for the future, and then replicating this.
My vision for the future is to, obviously, you said earlier, we've expanded rapidly, and we are. I don't want to expand too rapidly in South Carolina right now. I've got a number of counties that want to come on board, and oddly enough, I never really have counties drop off. So we're building on, which is cool. I mean, that's fantastic. But
it's terrific.
It's a good thing. We are going to have on board. I do want to structure the tour around where we can have some sustainability. And I'm not sure how that's going to go going forward, but I see this as something that is going to be more and more prominent. We have had a lot of statewide support from our legislators here, legislators in our state, that have been like, hey, this is something that we need to on board. Whether we take it statewide, where every county has the accessibility. The problem with doing that right now that I see is some of the counties don't have the capacity to have a full committee of volunteers and others doing that. Some of the counties may not have enough farms to really do that yet, but in some way we can make that happen. We're still working on that. Your question about have I had talk to people across the country. Oh my goodness gracious. This is in recent days I've had, and I won't talk about who they were exactly, but I've had conversations in recent weeks with land grant colleges and research institutions in other Western states. I've had the Pinehurst, North Carolina. People know Pinehurst, North Carolina for golf, right? Pinehurst has a vibrant agricultural or art scene in Pinehurst. They also have a lot of farms. They've actually done an ag and art tour, and they're continuing to do an ag and art tour. And we've been speaking to them for years. I've been to Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been to Charlotte. I've been to Atlanta. We've talked to a lot of people. Recently, I spoke with someone in Maryland for an ongoing talks. They're doing a farm and art tour in Maryland here in coming years. They're still in the process. So we've had a lot going on there. And I'm perfectly open to, this is an extension program. And I think if we can, an extension supported program. I think if we could make that model, take that model and support it through extension nationwide, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. To really show people are so interested in this. And if we can keep it going and see what happens, I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it has a lot of potential, and I think you've proven the concept inside. Like just with how you've expanded and in a very smart way, and proven concept. So I definitely think there's a lot of potential here. So, like I said, I showed it to my friend, and she was real. She's like, learn more. Cool. She's like, I can't wait to listen to the podcast. So, I definitely think good stuff. Definitely good stuff. So congratulations on what the team has achieved. And, I said this to Lisa. I know she taught, she kept minimizing her role. And I'm like, but it does take a certain type of leader to bring people together and make something happen and facilitate, the conversation and the implementation too, because, it's not easy. It's like, you're the glue that's kind of pulling it together. So congratulations on that piece.
Well, thank you very much.
And ladies, have you been on any of the tours?
I haven't yet.
They're going to be.
What are you studying? What are you each studying?
I'm studying landscape architecture.
Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm agricultural education with a leadership emphasis.
Nice. Okay, that fits in well.
yeah. So both of them, So Kate is working with my horticulture agent here, and she's going to be doing a good bit of landscape stuff. My urban hort. I'm lucky enough. I mentioned earlier I've got a pretty big office here, so I've got an urban horticulture agent and a commercial horticulture agent. So Kate's going to be working with her, and then Caroline is going to be working with me on some of the ag and art tour stuff. So
yeah, I mean, that sounded, her education sounded like it aligned perfectly. It's really exciting. How do you define, I mean, Lisa and I had a very lengthy conversation about the definition of agritourism. In your world, how are you defining it?
I like your definition. Heard it over.
I was trying to keep it simple.
Yeah, very, very simple. I liked it very simple. I'm a proponent of the working farm. Some people say it doesn't have to be a working farm. I'm a proponent of that. There's so many, like you said, so many out there. Look at the definition of NAFMA, North American Farmers Direct Marketing Association. I actually led the board there to come up with that definition, and when we did some stuff. So that is one way. One way, really looking at a working farm that is, is offering experience or offering agricultural experience to the public. And like you said earlier, is the general aspect. And not to get too technical, I'm also a proponent of agritourism itself as a word is on the tourism side. That's travel. Are we talking about travel and tourism, or are we talking about, what are we talking about here? The whole experience. You can also look at farm direct marketing as an overall look, and you can look at there's some other terms that may fit better. They're not going to. Agritourism is going to stick. This is where we're at. So we live with it. So there's a couple different models that I found in the literature that I like to go back to, but yeah, going forward, we're gonna work with agritourism and see what it's at. You've got agri-recreation, you've got agri-education, you've got agritainment, you've got all of these different things that don't exactly fit under agritourism, because tourism and tainment, they're all different, but they're all parallel in my view. But yeah, we'll see.
One other question, I saw on the website that this tour is a member of the South Carolina AgriTourism Association. Is that a separate organization?
That is. South Carolina AgriTourism Association that was started in 2000. Oh, geez. I can't remember. 13, 14 by the Department of Ag. I was on the advisory committee, but it was 18. I was on the advisory committee. That is the South Carolina AgriTourism Association is their Department of Ag. They are there for the agritourism operations in the state, and they've identified over 500 farms in our state that do offer some type of agritourism. So pretty exciting stuff. Those guys are, Jackie Moore is the head of that association. She does some incredible stuff, and reach out to Jackie. She's fantastic with that.
That's terrific.
They have some great programs, and you may want to talk to her about. They have a great signage program, state signs for the agritourism operation. They also have a passport program, and that's get a passport, go to each one and get your passport stamped in different agritourism operations. So great things they've done there.
Excellent. So I'm excited to see how this progresses. It's very unique, and it seems obvious, but it's not. It seems like I think these things are going on, but I love the way you've put it together, and obviously how you're marketing it and the people connected to this and how they're bringing it to the public is really critical. So great stuff. I'm excited to see how everything goes in the future, and I definitely will be tapping your brain for more information.
Anytime, and thank you for getting us out there. This is fantastic.
Excellent. Ladies, it was a pleasure meeting you, and everyone have a good Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. I hope our AgriTourist podcast prompts you to think more about where your food comes from, whether it be your vegetables, fruits, meats, and even those sweet treats. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with someone you think may truly benefit from or be inspired by it. Visit us at agra-tourist.com. Until next time. As we are learning from many of our farmers and entrepreneurs, strong connections help propel our visions. Through my interview with Lisa Chase from the University of Vermont Extension and Vermont Tourism Research Center, I was connected to an exciting and new organization called the Global AgriTourism Network, or GAN for short. The global network is made up of agritourism stakeholders from around the world. They include farmers and ranchers, researchers, educators, community planners, policymakers, agricultural service providers, and tour operators, among others. It is currently free to join, so if you have any interest in agritourism, check them out at agritourism.edu/GAN, or just Google Global AgriTourism Network. The link will be in our show notes as well. You never know, this global network may help you take your agritourism vision to the next level.